All right. Welcome to the first video of Confessions of a Spiritual Healer. Now, these are going to be really raw and unedited, and I don't know. I don't know what I plan on doing other than I'm just going to be babbling and try my best to just give you guys like real life experiences of how I navigate my life and share my stories. So recently, a couple of days ago, I was in town, my hometown, and where my mom lives, and I was visiting, and then she asked me if I would take her to the hospital, right, for her colonoscopy screening, which is just like a general screening for, like mature elderly women or whatever. And so I was available. I agreed. I was like, yeah, sure, of course, I will come, or I will take you. And I haven't really seen my mother very often. So when my parents divorced when I was 14, right after that, they were very much like, we have independent lives, don't get involved, you have no say on how I will live my life. So my mother has always been that kind of person, like, don't get involved, this is my life. So when she asked me to take her to the hospital, it was, it's just something that I can do. Obviously, it's in my power, but I don't know anything what's going on with her life or how her medical record is or history, blah, 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 things like that, But when we went to the clinic, right, or the hospital, and we were checking her in, like right away, something was kind of off, because my mom has always been like a really loud, really crass, says really inappropriate things, narcissistic, selfish. I shouldn't be laughing, but she's always been that character. That's just my mom. That's how I know her. And when we got to the hospital, she was completely a different demeanor. Like she wasn't like loud or confident. She was like meek and pathetic and like polite, I guess, I suppose, but like couldn't even answer any of the questions the hospital staff was asking. She, was just like, oh, you can answer for me, like telling me to do everything for her, like sign her papers. I'm like, well, first of all, you're here and you're a working woman. You could probably sign your own name. And it came to the point where they asked her if she needed a translator, and it was just going to be a kiosk with a translator. Like it wasn't like AI or anything, like just it was like a video call and the translator was on the kiosk, and she kept rejecting the translator. She was just like, I don't need it, my daughter will translate for me, it's fine. And I was trying to convince her, well, I don't live with you. You should probably know what's going on. So it's best if we get you a translator, because I'm Hmong and our language is Hmong, and we're like a small minority group in China, Laos, and diaspora, blah, blah, blah. And I only know how to speak the Hmong language socially. So I don't know medical terms. I don't know how to describe the things that are happening in her organs, so you should probably have a translator, to know what's going on. And as soon as I was trying to convince her of this kindly, just trying to be really nice about it, she completely disassociated. She completely like dead on the hospital bed. And she wouldn't respond to any of the questions the hospital staff was asking. She was asking like all of these like ridiculous questions with a translator, saying some just strange things, or things that, like that doctor can't really answer that question. So, but she kept repeating like, these are my problems. Why won't they figure it out? And then just being like, I want to add this procedure and this procedure because I need help, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, everyone's there like, this is just a general checkup. We're just going to go in, we're going to see what's going on. And, then we'll assess. But we're like, if you're going to add more procedures, to it, it's going to cost more. And then she's like, well, I don't have the money for it. Like, I was like, what's going on? And the staff was getting really nervous, and they kept looking at me, and I kept just being like, you know, because it wasn't necessarily like that I wasn't trying to help my mom. You know, one, my mom's hard of hearing, so she works in a factory, and so like when I communicate things with her, like if anybody is really trying to communicate things with her, they will have to shout. They will have to really, you know, make a very loud voice to her. That's why she speaks kind of loud. But most of the time, she's pretending she can hear you, or she's reading lips or something. And so I knew she wasn't quite knowing what was going on with the hospital staff, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter because for her, it was, you know, everybody needs to pertain to her. She's having the issues. She's the one in the, you know, she's the client or whatever, that she's the one who needs the help. And so made a whole fiasco. I'm not going to go on and on about it, but in that moment, I was recognizing the spiritual messages in this, or the spiritual lessons in this. Like, I was recognizing like this younger version of myself, like the immature, like habits that I had picked up, these little tendencies, these mannerisms. Like, I was recognizing them. I used to act like that when I was like 5 or 6, or I would say those things, you know, and I was seeing it still in my mom. And I was like, oh, now I'm recognizing why I had to self-parent, you know, later on, I guess I started to recognize I'm still acting really immature. I need to change those things. But like, I was recognizing like my mom's still immature. She's still that person. And it wasn't as if I was blaming her or anything. I saw her with compassionate eyes, empathy, you know, just like, here's this woman who does not have tools to figure out how to grow up, you know, how to mature, how to really evolve. And I'm not blaming her or anything, or I'm not, you know, comparing us. Like, look at how far I've come. Like, no, was not feeling like that. Like, I've come so far and you're not, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was like, here's this very wounded person. Like, maybe not even my mom. You know what I mean? Like, just this wounded person who was a refugee, escaped war, had a lot of insecurities because her family, this patriarchal family that hated her, didn't love her, and she's wounded. Like, I know this woman. And I just, like, a part of me was like, should I run in there and try to, my phone keeps dying, you guys. I had to recognize that that's not my battle. Like, she is having her experience, and it's between her and those people. It's like, one, those white people need to figure out how to deal with, you know, somebody who is having a hard time, and then and who is of a different cultural background, right? The sensitivity where they just reacted like instantly out of like rejection, just like, well, I don't want to deal with her, which is fine. You guys, it's a hospital, it's a business, it's a profession. Maybe I should have stepped in, but then it would have required me to be shouting at her, which would have probably embarrassed her more. So, and she was the one dragging her feet and not participating, not cooperating, right? I just loved her in that moment. I was just running mantras in my mind, just loving her, loving her, loving her. And I had to just accept that this was happening, maybe not even to me, this was happening to her. And I had to not, like, I had to fight not jumping in and rescuing her, you know, because this is her battle. This is not mine. If you're going to act like this, even to me, you know, because then she started saying some really insensitive things to me. Like she was, I think she was desperately fighting her discomfort, and then she started calling me ugly and fat. So it was great. I had to just love her. And long story short, what it came down to was that I was able to see her on that 5D level, and I was able to just understand this woman this soul just needs to be loved. And like she, in this lifetime, she has chosen to be my mother, and she is my earthly mother, and I don't seek from her, what, this desperate need to fulfill the thing to fulfill my lack, right? I can turn around and nurture her anyways, myself. In the Sai Shakti tradition, there is a holy womb chakra system, like healing system. It's like elaborate and extensive, blah, blah, blah. And I don't offer it, but there are other Sai Shakti resources out there, and they do offer that. In those systems, you learn how to heal your relationship with your mother. And I will teach you one. I will teach you one because you can do this without doing the system, because it's, again, elaborate, blah, 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 things like that. So this activity, what you do is you print out a picture of your mother and you put it on the wall or put it on an altar or something, and then you pranam to her. You heartfully pranam to her, which is putting your head on the ground, you're bowing on your knees. And you say, "Thank you, mother. Thank you for being my mother. Thank you for giving birth to me." And by going through that process, you energetically heal your relationship with your mother. And by also doing this as well, you heal your relationship with Mother Divine. You create that crack, that opening, that soul recognition back to the divine. And when I did this myself for 41 days, you have to do it for 41 days. And it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be like 10 minutes or whatever, blah, blah. Just, you do your pranam, right? And you heartfully intend you're going to love your mother, or that you're thankful for your mother. Like, even if your mom doesn't exist, not around, you don't like her mom, this way of energetically healing this relationship, right, heals you on a karmic level, heals you on your matriarchal level, like your ancestral level of female relationships. And what makes this really powerful is that you no longer hold the narrative of why, or the reason, or the need to understand, you just love what is not there. So I'm going to cut this pretty short because my phone I don't think that my phone's going to die. I think I'm just running out of memory or something. I don't know. It just keeps cutting out. So this is going to be the end of this episode. If you are interested in my karmic healing programs or my services, that information is down below. Otherwise, this is what it is. This is me navigating the matrix. So take care. Bye for now.